I have never, ever seen a closer relationship or friendship between two wrestlers as I did between Chris and Eddie. It was an actual and caring relationship.
I'm like, Eddie, wiping his face, and he's like, he's still there, man, and we're trying, and then all of a sudden, he's in my arms, and he's not there anymore. Then I get a call from Chris, and Chris goes, hey man, I'm downstairs, where are you? Hey man, are you sitting down? He goes, yeah. And I go, Eddie passed away this morning. And all you hear is, from a guy with no emotion whatsoever, you hear a wail. Wail from deep down, like a heartbreak. If you've ever heard one, this was a heartbreaking.
One by one, they took different talent. They wanted to talk about Eddie, Eddie's passing, Eddie's life. And Chris did it, which is probably really difficult to do. Chris had a hard time getting through it.
I want to thank you from my heart and tell you that I love you and I'll never forget you. And I will see each other again. I love you, Eddie. I believe it was very hard for him, you know. I even cried after for him.
And Nancy stayed with me for a month after Eddie passed away, and Chris would come in when they were off, and I would find Chris on Eddie's side of his bed, and Chris would just be laying there crying, holding Eddie's pillow. Eddie had a beautiful gym upstairs, and I would go upstairs, and the girls would come down and they would say, Mom, Chris is crying again. And I was crying. He goes, I'm lost without Eddie being here. To see him just crying in my arms, it was very emotional. Here's this big, strong man who is tough and quiet and strong. He broke my heart. You know, but then you see Chris, you know, around the other wrestlers or in a meeting, and he had his face on. So professional, like you wouldn't even think that anything was bothering him. But Chris was getting more and more distant, where he was not being seen as much backstage, you know, where I couldn't find him. Like Nancy would call me and be like, how's Chris doing today? And I said, well, I haven't seen him.
She talked to me about it several times. She was like, there's something going on, and I don't know what it is. You gotta tell me if you notice something. And I was like, yeah, there's something up. He just seemed different. He was talking more about other wrestlers that had had children kidnapped and fans that went sideways and were violent. He used to take different cars and different ways to the gym that we had been going to for years. It was super random. He just didn't want to be places and be seen. There was a level of paranoia we had never, ever seen before.
Nancy started getting really worried. She's like, I'm really worried for Chris. He was just sad all the time and depressed. He was impatient. There was a lot of fighting going on for reasons that she didn't understand why he would be upset. And she would just be like, life is just really hard right now. Like, Chris is just irritable and he doesn't want to talk to me. He's mad all the time. You know, he was just mad at life in general.
There were a few months where he completely closed off, not really even talking to Nancy, not really talking to anyone. So we got Chris a journal so that he could write to Eddie. I think that after we got him that journal is when he started opening up a little bit more, because writing to him, he started feeling like maybe Eddie was with him in spirit or in heart by just being able to talk to him every day.
Was there any point when Nancy wanted Chris to maybe step away from wrestling at all?
That last year, she didn't think that it was healthy physically or mentally for him to be on the road and doing so much work in the same places that he and his best friend used to be and do things together.
I remember talking to him, and he's like, every building I go to, all I can do is think of Eddie. Okay, we're in Kansas City. Last time I was here, Eddie was here.
It's Saturday night. I'm gonna go into Laredo, Texas. We're doing the Texas Loop. I get to Laredo, and Chris, myself, and Scott Armstrong are gonna ride together. And then later I get a call from Chris, and he goes, oh man, I'm not gonna make it. I go, what's wrong? He goes, Daniel and Nancy have food poisoning, and I'm just trying to take care of them. And I'm like, oh man, are you good? You all right? And he's like, yeah, I'm okay. I said, well, tomorrow we're in Houston for the pay-per-view. So he goes, okay, great. I said, okay, man. And he goes, chavo. I go, yeah? And he goes, I love you. And I'm like, okay, brother, I love you too, man. That was weird. And I go, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm okay, man. I'm just really tired. And I said, okay, man. Okay, well, call me if you need to get any problem. Okay, well, I will. So then That's it. I get a text, and it was from Chris's phone, and it said, the dogs are in the enclosed pool area, and the back door is open. So I'm just half asleep, and I see this text, and I'm like, the heck is that? All of a sudden, 30 seconds later, I get another text from Nancy's phone, and it says the exact same thing. I was like, what? That's weird. I get another text right afterwards. It tells me his physical address. What is that? So I disregarded, thinking I'm picking Chris up in 3 hours at the airport. So then, I meet Scott downstairs. We go get breakfast, and I talk to him. I go, hey, man, did you get a weird text from Chris? And he goes, yeah, I did. I said, what did it say? And he said the exact same thing. We drive to Corpus Christi for the next show. Still no word from Chris. So the head of talent relations, Johnny Ace, asked me, hey, Chava, have you heard from Chris? And I said, no. I said, but look, Johnny, and I bring up my phone and I show him. These are the texts that I got from Chris yesterday. And Johnny, in his raspy voice, is like, Chavo, why didn't you show us these yesterday? And I'm like, look, man, we were covering for Chris. We didn't know where he was. You didn't know where he was.
The office starting to get concerned because it was getting to be like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So Vince McMahon has sent...
My name is Dennis Fagan. I run the security for World Wrestling, and one of our wrestlers that lives down there is missing. We need a welfare check done.
And what's his name?
Chris Benoit. It's spelled B-E-N-O-I-T.
Okay, and he's a wrestler?
So Vince McMahon calls a meeting at the ring.
Dean Malenko's sitting next to me. I just had this really bad feeling. Dean's like, there's something wrong. Something is not right.
That's when Vince McMahon stands up at the ring and says, we just got word that Chris Benoit, Nancy, and Daniel have all passed away. And the gasps, of course, around the ring.
I remember Vicky, because she just let out this hurling scream.
I freaked out and I started crying, and Dean kind of stood up and he grabbed my hand and he took me off to the back.
So then Vince is backstage, and I walk up to Vince and I said, what happened? What happened? And I'm a little frantic. And he says, they're gone. I said, what do you mean they're gone? And he hugs me super tight. And my head's on his shoulder, like crying to Vince, like, no, no, no. Like, what happened? I don't understand. I don't understand yet.
I didn't know what was going on, but I'd heard enough to know that something's not right.
I went from just being a regular welfare check. Okay, we got something more serious here.
And I came out of the theater and I turned my phone on and I had like 22 missed calls from my parents.
The cop told me that they all passed away over the weekend.
You didn't want to believe it. Can't believe it. Can't be true. But it was.
The act of what he did is unthinkable, unforgivable.